We're back in the Media Center at Bouchercon 2025 with Outliers Writing University, talking to authors of all stripes who have come to this annual mystery conference, the largest in the world, here in New Orleans, Louisiana, one of the most interesting cities in the world. And today we welcome debut novelist Ande Pliego, whose first book, You Are Fatally Invited, introduces her as a bold new voice in crime fiction. With sharp wit and a flair for weaving suspense into everyday settings, Ande's storytelling blends humor, tension, and a key eye for human behavior. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Terry. It's lovely to chat.
Is this your first Bouchercon?
Yes, it is. Very much so. New to everything. So, yeah, it's been amazing.
What have you learned?
Oh, my goodness. Networking is key, and it is truly incredible to be in a room full of authors who are also kind and willing to share their advice and experience, and that's just amazing. I don't think I've experienced that level of openness and kindness so soon with strangers before. It's amazing.
Tell me your background.
Yeah. So I grew up overseas mainly in France, and moved around a ton. It's not really from anywhere, but I am currently settled in the Pacific Northwest, and started writing probably about 6 years ago, and have been trying to get published for a while, and this was my 5th book written, and it magically took off, and here I am, So
it took you 5 books to get published?
It did, yes.
What do you think it was about You Are Fatally Invited that impressed?
So I think that's the big thing about You're Fatally Invited is it was also my first adult novel written. So I had written 4 young adult novels first, and my storytelling kind of hallmark is I'm very genre blending, and so I love combining different things. And the verdict, it seemed, with my young adult books was that was not what was pop in young adult at the time. And so publishers would kind of say, like, we don't know where to put this on a shelf. Readers aren't really going for this right now. So my agent and I chatted, and we're trying to strategize. And while I had 1 young adult book on sub, I really wanted to write adult someday. And we thought, well, might as well just go ahead and see, have multiple irons in the fire. So started writing an adult book, wanted to keep the genre blending because it seemed like that was more favorable in adult books. So I tried to come up with something. My agent and I were really brainstormed on what's high concept, what would be really fun, and a bit of a breather, I suppose, from some of my more intense young adult books. And so I came up with the concept of a writer's retreat for thriller and horror authors. And it is satirical, so it lovingly pokes at all the tropes that we roll our eyes at, when you're reading, and then again, ask for more, pick up the next book with them. And so it's very meta, satirical. It was a lot of fun to write. So,
what have your readers said they like most about it?
What has been amazing to hear is how compulsively readable it is. So I've had many people reach out and say that they read it in one sitting, or they missed their train while they were reading it.
That's a high compliment.
Yes, it was absolutely amazing to hear. So that, and hearing readers when they get to the end, there's a lot of moving pieces. So it was real fun to write, trying to keep track of all of that. But at the end, I've had so many readers come to me and say, I had no idea about all of these red herrings, and now they all indicate something different. Like, my entire perspective of the book changed at the end, because now I can understand how everything plays together. And that's a huge compliment to hear.
How did you construct it? So complicated a story.
I have a real fun writing process where I plot everything out extensively, which I think I know everything. And then I write it, and I either realize very quickly I know nothing, and the characters are taking the reins and going off on their own way, or I get to the very end of the draft and realize that I got the killer wrong, or I got the victim wrong, or something huge was off. So it takes me several drafts to realize what the story wants to be. And so it's very frustrating, but also I'm like, well, if it's surprising me, hopefully it'll get readers too, And then I go back and make sure it looks all intentional. Yeah, like I knew all along what I was doing. Yeah.
What attracted you to the writing medium in the first place?
So I grew up as a bit of a nomad, traveling around a ton, did not have friends, like in-person friends consistently over years, would, be in a place for a few months and then move, and then be in a place for a couple of years and then move. So friendships were, relationships were kind of hard to keep going. So I instead started talking to the voices in my head and started making up characters and writing stories. And that was just for me, didn't tell anyone about it, but it was just, I just fell in love with coming up with these fun stories that, could be fantasy or could be thriller or, could be anything I wanted it to be. And that just, I fell in love with it. I forgot about it for a while, went to college, didn't write for a few years. Then the best thing to happen to me was a job fell through. And suddenly I had time and was trying to figure out, what do I love? What do I want to do? And decided to try writing again. And it's had me in its stranglehold ever since.
What did you think you wanted to be when you were a kid?
Forensic psychologist. So, yes, I was very interested in both.
That's very mature for a youngster.
Thank you. I was always wanted to be in some sort of law or criminal justice, or psychologist. So that seemed like a good medium between either that or an Interpol agent, because I love travel and moving around a lot.
I'd been avoiding asking, but what was it that meant that you had to move so often?
My parents were in humanitarian aid and so a bunch of different, their jobs kind of shifted over time, but generally that's kind of what they were in. So we moved a lot for that, and wonderful, wonderful experiences there that have absolutely shaped me in my writing. I write very international characters, which is I just love it so much because that's what was normal to me growing up. So yeah.
What did you study in college?
Liberal arts, which, it's funny. Going to college, I didn't quite know what I wanted to do. And I was 16 when I went to college, very young. And even though I knew I would like to go into these career fields, for whatever reason, that was the choice that was in front of me at the time. And so I went into it and did it. It was not a good fit for me. But yes, it was. I really enjoy history and learning about, the classics and all of these things. But it wasn't that component of, psychology or criminal justice that I really wanted. But it was what I had to do at the time. So, yeah.
So how did you learn about all this stuff that you write about?
Well, I've always been a huge thriller junkie. Loved mysteries. Grew up, reading every single one of the Nancy Drew, Christie's, all the classics that so many writers grew up reading, and absolutely loved all of that. And then, when I wanted to start writing again, I wanted to write something that was different from anything I'd done before, teen or as a kid, and I just was like, well, I love mysteries. What would it be like to actually really go hard on that and actually try to write a full one? That's really complicated and twisty and, would get readers. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into that.
We're talking with author Ande Pliego. Her website is ANDEPLIEGO.com. And her debut is called You Are Fatally Invited. It's the story about a murder at a writer's retreat. The danger of writing a story with so many characters is that it's easy to get lost. How did you keep the focus of the story where it needed to be?
Yeah, so one of the authors who's really impacted me is author Adrienne Young, and she's written young adult and adult, and her penchant for just really complex mysteries with her adult books that are just so many moving parts weaving together. And she's hammered hard on, you tell one story and you have all of these threads and all of these characters. And if you can pull one out and the story still remains, then you need to pull it out or either wind it in deeper. And so I really sought to make sure that each character was extremely relevant to what was going on, that their books and their history and their genres, because they're all different genres of thriller, all of those things play into the whole story. And yeah, centering everything around a central question, which was, who is this mysterious, huge author, who's anonymous, of course, that invited them all here, and why keep flying tempo? So keeping everything focused around that question really helped guide the novel.
Sounds perfect for Netflix.
That would be really fun. Really, really fun. But,
who would you want to have star in the movie?
Oh my goodness. So Knives Out was a huge cost to me. I loved that. And so Ana de Armas would be for sure just kind of like, she's kind of how I started thinking about this, my main character, who's the event coordinator on the retreat. And she knows that all is not as it seems. She's been hired by this anonymous author to be the front woman. She welcomes everybody. She makes sure everyone has what they need. She cuts the Wi-Fi. She's the one manipulating things behind the scenes. And so Ana de Armas, I think, could do an amazing job kind of behind the scenes there.
In the old days, in the movies, there was always that scene where they turn the lights out.
Exactly.
And so in your book, they turn the Wi-Fi.
They do. And what's really fun is that the concept really came from an idea of like, what would a locked room dinner party murder mystery be like from the perspective of the person on the inside? Like flickering the lights, locking the doors, doing all of the creepy things. And so we get to see from her perspective how she's carrying out these orders or these instructions on behalf of this anonymous author that she doesn't even know. And the fun twist about her role in the story is that she knows they're all there for a reason. She doesn't quite know why, but she agreed to do it because she has a vendetta against one of the authors herself. And she is planning on carrying out a little murder of her thought and doesn't know that someone else is too. So lots of parts, moving parts.
Moving around as much as you did, and you were telling me that it was a challenge to build friendships. All of that impacts self-esteem in a very big way. And yet, you choose writing, which is another thing that just totally destroys your self-esteem. You have to be able to stick with it.
Absolutely.
How did you do it?
I think the biggest thing is actually, it's really funny, finding your tribe and finding a people. And so some of the deepest friendships that I have and longest friendships that I have are from the writing community and connecting with others over this. And so it's just, I think that's one reason why I love the social aspect so much is that, we're all here because we love to be here and because we've fought to be here. No one kind of accidentally falls into writing, or if they do, you're God's favorite. And I'm very happy for you, whoever that is. But, most of us, we're here because it's a choice and it's something you've really had to work at. And that creates, I think, a connection point that is really hard to find elsewhere.
You seem to me like a very strong woman. Where does your strength come from?
Well, honestly, first and foremost, it comes from God. He has really guided me through many, many waters, rough waters. And as you're saying, moving around a lot, not having no friendships impacts self-esteem, impacts a lot of things. And so that is my rock first and foremost.
How so?
Well, understanding first and foremost that I am loved and valued for who I am and that God created me the way I am. And He gave me the gifts that He gave me. I believe 100% writing is a gift and a passion that He gave me to use. And He has blessed that greatly. And I am, at every point I have really been, I've had an interesting writing journey in that a lot of haven't had a lot of support at the beginning. And so it was from non-writers, from people around. And so, that causes a lot of doubt and a lot of concern, and really spent years wondering, is this going to go anywhere? Am I just wasting my time? And I think a lot of writers can relate to that. And at, one of the biggest times that I was okay, really prayed, Lord, I've been trying this for years. Nothing's been happening. If you want this to go somewhere, have it go somewhere. Otherwise, I'm kind of hanging up the cape. And really just, I don't want to force it. I don't want to, just keep trying and not have anything come of it. And it was interesting. That week, I sent the book, he sent fatally to my agent, and I was like, you can put it on sub. Nothing's going to happen with it because I've already had a book die on sub. So it was very much like, well, this is kind of like, here it is. We'll see what happens, but I'm not holding my breath. I was going to take a break from writing. If not, maybe stop for a while. 2 weeks later, it sold in 4 countries to at a preempt ahead of a 7 publisher auction. And that was a huge, and I'm a debut. Like, I'm nobody. Like, I don't have any special writing experience. I don't have any, I'm just a random person, And that was a really amazing, clear indication to me that the Lord is blessing this work and that he wants me to keep going with it. And so here I am, keeping going.
What do you think it is about the story that made it so appealing?
I think the fact that it's very meta was a huge appeal. So it is full of tropes, but very intentionally so. So if you've seen something like Galaxy Quest or the new Jumanji movies where it's taking a genre that it loves and it's poking at it very affectionately, but highlighting all the ridiculous things in it, that's what I wanted to do with Fatally. And so I very much leaned into all the tropes. I was thinking like, how do I write a locked room mystery on an island that hasn't been done before, And I was like, well, I'll just lean into it and it hopefully will stand on the shoulders and work because of the books that have come before it. Yeah.
You got a second book coming. Tell us about that.
I do. We just announced it, which is very exciting. The title is The Library After Dark, and it follows an After Dark tour group to a potentially haunted library. They're there to see a potentially cursed manuscript, and they get trapped inside, and there seems to be a killer that seems to be able to walk through walls. And yeah, so it's another multi-POB book. It's got one of the most fun protagonists that I've ever written. Took her 4 drafts to figure out what was going on with her, but everything clicked into place, and it's been so much fun.
There are so many authors who have been in the position that you've been, never sure whether or not they were ever going to be published. What advice do you have for them?
So my biggest thing that I say to people, and I say ad nauseum, but it is the only failed writer is the one who gave up. And I've had so many, since getting the book deal, and since then, I've just seen so many friends continue patiently on and not give up. And even through one of my good friends, Crystal Schleyer, her debut just came out this week, actually. It's called A Rather Peculiar Poisoning, Knives Out in Each Downton Abbey mystery. But she's been trying to get published for 12 years. And longer than I had. And her writing can run circles around mine any day of the week. And she just patiently continued, just kept querying, kept writing new books, really kept trying. And within 2 months of each other, 2 years ago, she had an agent and a book deal with HarperCollins. So my big thing is you never know. Don't give up. I'm glad I didn't quite give up. I think it's, you kind of keep going, and there's always a readership for something that resonates with you.
The book is You Are Fatally Invited. It's written by our special guest, Ande Pliego. Her website is ANDEPLIEGO.com. Thanks for the conversation.
Thank you so much, Terry. It's been a pleasure.
Ande Pliego, recorded live at Bouchercon 2025 at the Outliers Writing University studios. Learn more about becoming an outlier at outlierswritinguniversity.com.